You're listening to What the FMCG, a podcast series from FieldAssist featuring conversations with eminent industry leaders of great brands in the CPG industry.
Hello and welcome to another episode of What the FMCG. Sharing his vast experience with me is the sales dynamo and industry veteran Nrusimha Panda, who is the Vice President Sales and Logistics for Dr. Oetkar in India. He joined them in 2007 to develop their modern trade channel and is actually today leading all the three sales vertical: general trade, modern trade, and food services. So, welcome, Nrusimha, to the Field Assist podcast.
Thank you.
So, as I understand, Dr. Oetkar was one of the few companies to build the market for mayo for desi consumers 15 years ago, and it wasn't about a butter or a chutney. Okay, so how difficult was it to get consumer to create a habit around it?
Oh, that was really difficult. 2009 or 8 when we started, hardly any consumer knew what a mayonnaise was. The retail size of the business was hardly 16 crores. Now this business has grown 25-fold, 50-fold in last 15 years. So yes, mayonnaise wasn't a lot understood category. People used to buy and eat burgers, but they never knew that mayo is one of the key ingredients in making a good burger. So from there we started the journey, and yeah. So initially the market was confined to the people who were aware about the category, which would be maybe less than 1% of the total consumer base. Next 5-7 years, we built a basic threshold level of business, and 2015 we started the advertising part. We are the first one to do an advertisement in mayo category.
Okay.
So people knew burger, they liked burger. Now using mayo, you can make a burger. Possibly that was the last piece of communication which we started via our ATL. After that, the market zoomed up big time.
Okay, so would you like to highlight something which you feel that what you are discovering today different than what was in your initial years?
Okay, the basic essence of sales remains same. You have to sell a product, collect the money, but the way of doing business has changed dramatically. Earlier, possibly it was a lot more people driven, manually done. Right now, if you talk, technology supports a lot of the business. The data is more live, real time. So, just to give you a smaller example, right now we get a live visibility of inventory at most points of the business. Whereas then we used to do a monthly stock and sales manually. So we used to go physically count the stock and note it down, calculate what was the opening stock and all that. So those things have changed dramatically. So in other words, if one person was doing X amount of work, a same person right now possibly is doing 5x or 10x of that. Now, the way to analyze the business, look at the business, earlier possibly it was a lot driven by the relation and knowing someone. So the retailer knew someone, then they bought the product. The distributor knew someone, then they sold the product. Those things have changed dramatically as per the rationale of doing business and buying what is becoming sharper and more clearly defined. So those are two dramatic changes. Technology and way of selling and buying has changed over the years.
Understood. And we'll come back to this technology piece because music to my ears. But let's understand more about Dr. Oetker. What's the brand history? How did India figure in its growth plans? So, what was the strategic intent of entering India?
Yeah. So Oetker is basically a German company. The business started some 100 plus 130 years ago in Germany, and over the years they had their footprint spread all across Europe. Now, any European company or any American company, when they think of which market next, so typically India and China come into the consideration. So in 2007, the idea was okay, why don't we try the global assortment which is available in the European markets, try in India. So essentially, these were four different categories: bake mixes, dessert mixes, muesli, and frozen pizza. So the idea was we import a container of each category and try it out. We got the modern trade listings and placed the product and all that. And I think within 6 12 months, the realization has sunk in. This assortment, as is, not going to scale up to a viable business. Around that time, Fun Foods as a brand, as a company, was exploring for either a JV partner or somebody to buy out the company. So the idea was, okay, we acquire this business, scale it up, build it up, and over the years we integrate the core Oetker assortment into the business. So with that understanding, this acquisition happened in December 2008, and from then, over last 15 16 years, here we are.
Great, great. And today you are at more than a lakh retailers. There's a presence of the products. So if you compare your first, 0 to 10,000 retailers journey and the journey of now crossing 1 lakh retailers, what are some of the things that used to work before in sales, but they don't work anymore at your current scale?
So that coverage from 8,000 to 40,000 would have happened in about 6 7 years, and that 50,000 to 1 lakh would have happened in 3 4 years. So when it reaches a coverage of 1 lakh, then it has to be planned more. The human emotions gets reduced, even though we don't like it. So I know a retailer, I know a distributor used to be the largest strength, but nowadays, apart from knowing them, possibly we will have to plan better, because on a pen and paper or doing piece by piece, you can handle 50 things, 60 things. But when that thing goes to 500, 600, better a machine or a technology takes over. So I think that is the biggest change happening nowadays. And that's where we are trying to scale up and build up a system to manage the current business better. And that system should take care of 2x, 3x of this business as well.
So it is about the vision, and it is about also the processes to scale up. Both starts going hand in hand to make it a very sustainable business. So I'm with you on this. The journey of a building a great brand is generally filled with times when the going is great, but there are also the low spells, the difficult times when everything seems to be going wrong. Take me through any such experience, and I wish to know that what it feels like to be as a head of sales, taking the crisis head on, or getting out of this situation, facing the difficult times as a company and as a.
Yeah, upfront, I can say it doesn't feel great, but I think it is part and parcel of the business. Most of the time, what happens, we visualize something, we plan something, we feel we know it all, we have it sorted out, and you try it, and if it fails miserably, it hurts big time. If I pick up one example, then we launched salad dressing in the year 2018 with big fanfare. So it was a zero fat dressing, no fat was used. So the understanding was people want a healthier product, and dressing is typically for people who are more calorie conscious and health conscious. Whoever we told the concept, or we promoted the product wherever, everybody lapped it up.
Okay.
So first 6 months, the journey was wonderful, great, and after 6 months, suddenly we realized the sale is not picking up. And the summary learning was you need products which are healthy and tasty. So, on hindsight, it is obvious, but while we rolled out the product and all that, somehow we missed that. So, it was quite humbling also. Then, post that crisis, we tried to change our product launch approach, and post that, I think our success rate with new launches is, I would say, 6 7 out of 10.
Nice.
So, yeah, some crisis makes you feel bad and sad at that moment, but eventually it leaves you with some profound learnings.
Okay, now let's say about yourself. It's something interesting because you yourself say that you are a introvert kind of a person, and that's the strangest dichotomy, because in scales we typically see people who love going out and talking to other people, more of extrovert nature, How did you make sales your comfort zone?
I think actually it helped me in opening up. When you're in sales, then you have to talk to a lot of people. Then searching for what is relevant for that person and what I understand. So searching for a common ground and interacting with them becomes a need. It is not a choice anymore. It is a need. So, being in sales, yes, I have a product, I have a business proposition to sell to many people. This is how I pitch it. This is how I started, and till date, I'm trying to stick to that. So, yes, the moment it goes to reaching out or being like creating a noise or creating a party environment, I'm not great in that. But when you try to look at the people, the recipient, what would work for them, why they should be doing, or where do I see a win-win proposition? Being an introvert, these things are stronger in me, which is what is helping me to sail through.
I get that. I get that very well. Okay, great. And let's say, would you be able to recall some time when you had to, navigate a challenging situation with your distributor or retailer? Any specific incident happening at any place?
So few years ago, we had a margin negotiation with one large retail partner. They said, if you give us this margin, then only we are in the business. Otherwise, we are not. Okay, we tried to justify, we tried to negotiate, we tried to make them see the reason and all that. We tried a lot. Didn't work out. So one fine day, out of my 25 SKU listing, they brought it down to 5.
Okay.
They simply delisted 20 SKUs. Fortunately, they kept 5 SKUs, which were the top sellers. It was pretty scary because they were a fairly large customer for us. Fortunately, some of the team member came up with an idea. Okay, they have given 5 listings to us. Now, with the 25 SKUs, if we are selling X quantity, why don't we try to sell those X quantity via these 5 SKUs? And the beauty of that, it happened. So if we are getting X amount of sale via 25 listings, with 5 listings, we achieved the same number of sales. And it was an eye opener for everyone involved. The retailer also saw the promise of the category because we were talking about the category is growing. So we should be investing into the category instead of getting into margin arguments. So it took about 3 months, and then subsequent 6 8 months, we really scaled up our business in terms of on-shelf inventory, in terms of expanding our distribution width and depth, and all that. So that has been a great high-low experience or low-high experience because it was a
Yeah.
real low. Suddenly, where I was looking at a negative growth, and then after 3 months, we turned the tide and we had a substantial double-digit growth.
Okay. And so what could be those three nuggets of wisdom that you would like to share with people who want to look at maybe becoming a sales head director one day? So what would you say about these learnings which you want to share to our people or anybody who's listening and wishes to make a great career in sales in this industry?
Let me put it this way: three, 4 things which helped me across all the years. Many a time
Uh,
we get an instruction, somebody tells us to do something, and sometimes we don't like it, sometimes we don't understand it, but we always hesitate to ask why. And the fear is,
mm,
okay, if I ask why, then I might look stupid, he might take offense, and all that. So, somewhere I think that why we have to keep very active in our day to day functioning, because that hesitation itself kills a lot of things. Then, second thing is, if I'm doing something, if I have a role, if I have a function, so I can take one anecdote from one of my past assignments. So I was working at a frontline role. So they were talking about that particular market, what could work better. My RSM and my vice president were there in that market. They were suggesting certain promotion. I said it won't work. Then say, okay, we know the market, we have more experience. I said, yeah, that I am not disputing or challenging. but I know this market, and these are the two reasons why it won't work in this particular market. And if you're not very sure, let us go and try it out in a small sample size. We did that, and the same reasons popped up. So while going to the prior to leaving for the airport, the vice president came in. Yeah, he said, "Okay, the moment you told that I didn't like it, the fact remains that you are taking care of this business, this geography, and you said I know this area better, and that is a fact. Possibly, I will stay conscious and I will make the team conscious. So if my manager is telling something, maybe it will work, and if deep down I feel it may not work, then possibly we need to collaborate to make it work, and that creates my
Yes.
identity, that creates greater successes, and that will make me more confident. So try to own up the role one takes up. There will be judgment errors and all that will happen, but not taking that ownership is not going, definitely not going to help you.
Okay, very, very well said. And thank you so much for being here today with us. And I personally thoroughly enjoyed. Yeah, and I'm going to go back and go through the recording again and again. And we hope that we keep working closely, being a proud partner to such a great brand like yours. And really, really wish that you crack that 1,000 crore target, in very, very less time of yours. But thank you again, Narasimha. That was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, yeah, we note those best traces. Yeah, thank you so much.
You were listening to What the FMCG, a podcast series from Field Assist. Subscribe to the podcast on www.fieldassist.com/podcast or find us on all the major podcast distribution platforms.